So you all know, I'm the odd man out. I'm not a QE subject matter expert. I'm the moderator of this panel discussion, and I'll be representing you, each one of you, on stage, and I'll be asking your questions to the panelists who are the subject matter experts. I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, so there is a lot of anticipation in the crowd. I have personally spoken to a lot of members in the crowd, and we have been doing a lot of surveys, in the past few weeks leading up to the event, and we have curated some questions. Of course, we'll not be able to take 100 questions, so we have curated some top questions that came from the audience that we surveyed. I would like to start with the thought that we had, just setting up the context for this panel discussion, and I would like to start with Ravi on that. Ravi, there is a lot of hype all around, right? I think some of the speakers on that. AI is everywhere. There is a lot of buzz, right? NVIDIA has become the most profitable or the wealthiest company in the world for AI reasons. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world again, for partially AI reasons. So AI is everywhere. But is it a hype? Is it an overhyped bubble? Or is it actually a transformative force? Is it truly a great game changer? Is it a big breakthrough technology, although with its limitations? Where do you see the current state of AI? How do you interpret where we are in the scheme of things right now, Ravi?
Right. Thanks, Anurup. It's an emerging technology. We need to look into this technology in a balanced way rather than giving you an yes or no answer to it. Probably I can narrate a different perception how we need to look into it. I started my career with a complete engineering background. I'm a hardcore programmer. No hard feelings. I always feel why we have a testing department in our organization. We always feel the testers are so dumb, right? They write a line of test case and they keep on executing, working or not, working or not, working or not. So that is my perception as a developer. Then I moved into a management role where I was literally striving for the quality from my team and how important a quality team is in the organization, where I was searching for ways how I can equip my team to be more productive, more smarter, and how can they do their job better. That is my perception as a management guy. Then I started as an entrepreneur where, okay, why are we doing this repetitive work? Do we need so many people doing the same work every day? My perception is completely different once I become as an entrepreneur. Now you give AI to a developer. What they think, okay, these testers are dumb. I no longer need any testers. I can use my GenAI to replace all my testing team, right? So that's the perception of that guy. So if you give this GenAI as a tool to your management guy, or when I step into a management role, I feel this is a wonderful tool that I can equip with my team in terms of making them more smarter. If I give GenAI to an entrepreneur, when I step into an entrepreneur role, I feel like, okay, I can use this to automate a lot of this manual work, right? So it's all about, who is using it and how carefully you are implementing it, right? So yes, it's a very big bubble for a developer if you are giving them, this tool for a testing. And this is certainly a game changer for both entrepreneurs and management guys. That's the way I look at it. So there are a lot of, this is still evolving. We don't know what is coming up tomorrow, what is coming up day after tomorrow. It's always evolving, but we need to very carefully, choose where we need to use, how to use these technologies. That's what I feel.
Okay, thanks Ravi for that perspective. I would like to ask the same question to Anuradha and maybe a follow-up to that. Anuradha, just adding a little color to my question there. There is a school of thought which thinks AI is magic, that AI is a silver bullet, that AI is a panacea for all our challenges. Okay, and now there is also another, or maybe the same school of thought which says, hey, it is a maybe once in a lifetime or once in a generational or once in a multi-generational inflection point in the history of mankind which can alter the course of humankind and all that. So we are hearing a lot of things from a lot of people. I think there is a lot of nuanced, perspective which is coming out of this discussion and the sessions that have gone by. But what is your personal take on the same question as to what is the current state of AI and how do you see it?
So, by the way, I am a hardcore tester by profession. Okay. So all my almost 25 years in testing, and then I moved to leadership roles while I'm still passionate for testing. So there was a question, I want to answer that first. There was a question, what will we do now, right? If AI does everything. I don't think so. AI can do everything, right? Whatever we are building in AI is human. Human is actually building those models. Human is building those LLMs. Human is implementing them. Human has to do all of those, right? AI can only pick up whatever human has already built and summarize or analyze or make it more better, right? But the core of it is all generated by human, right? So in that way, human will never go invalid, right? But then, yeah, somebody said, yeah, we have to be continuously evolving and look at how do we leverage AI. That's very important because it's for our benefit. I look at it as a fantastic tool for me to use. I use it myself. For my, somebody was saying presentations, yes, I use it for generating a marketing, maybe, content, how is it being used, for maybe an email. For testing, definitely, I mean, if you look at it, definitely you can use it for multiple places, right? Across the life cycle, it can be used. So definitely it is very transformative. It is already there. It is not optional, by the by. Even for testers, it is not optional. And it is something which will help us do our job more efficiently. As I see from a testing perspective, the core fundamentals still remain, right? You have to be designing, you have to be creating those test cases, you have to be reporting, you have to be analyzing, all those still remain, right? Even if you have AI coming in. Now it's all about how do we innovate, how do we make it more efficient? That's what we're talking about, right? From an AI standpoint. How do I bring in efficiency across this life cycle? How do I maybe solve some of those problems which I'm not able to solve myself, right? Many times, we try to fight, right? Saying this defect is there, is not. Now you have more data, more trends, all that. So leverage it to your benefit is what I would say. I think we'll do a job better by using this technology. It's for our benefit. But important is to embrace it, have the right skills, have the right use cases, and join the bandwagon, is what I would say.
Okay, thank you for that perspective, Anuradha. I would like to have a follow-up question. I think everybody in the panel would be itching to answer this question, but in the interest of time, we'll not throw the question to everyone. But I would like to have a follow-up for you, Anuradha. I was listening to a QE influencer talk about AI, and he has an extreme view, or maybe not extreme, you will tell me that. So he said, I refuse to use AI in my conversations from today onwards. I will not use AI. It's overhyped. What matters at the end of the day is not the means which AI is, but the end, which is customer value. The value that we are creating at the end of the day with the use of a technology like AI. Do you subscribe to that?
No, absolutely. As a leader, right, I use multiple ways to achieve a certain outcome. It's all about outcomes finally, right? How much growth, how much profitability, how are you doing with less cost, how are you getting better client satisfaction. Those are some of the fundamental elements anyway, right? That's what we want to achieve finally. It's not about AI. It's about how do I achieve my final objectives, right? Finally. Now, how do I achieve those? How do I really look at leveraging the right kind of means? So I prescribe in terms of 4 key principles. One is, how do I simplify, right? How do I simplify that work? Now, if I'm doing a testing process, how do I simplify it, right? How do I simplify? How do I automate it, right? That's the next thing. Now, how do I bring in maybe tool to automate it? And how do I eliminate it itself, right? Maybe that step is not even required. So I think leveraging AI insights to see which ones to keep, which ones to eliminate, which ones to automate, and then driving efficiency and reaching your outcomes is what I would say is important.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'll move on to the next panelist and with the next question. Now, there was AI, and it has been around for a long time. 1950s, yeah. I mean, there have been peaks and troughs, but it has been around. And now there is GenAI. And GenAI has caught like wildfire all around. And we are seeing some interesting developments. We got a demo of Cumentis AI. Sudhir spoke about the interesting things they are doing with Lambda test. Parth spoke about the interesting things that they are doing about in Tricentis, and so did Narayan about Test Sigma. I would love to hear, Anita, your thoughts around how we can use or leverage AI and Gen AI in QE, and maybe if you can give us a stage-wise perspective, let's say, what do you think are the low-hanging fruits or the lowest hanging fruits that AI and Gen AI would be able to solve in the short term? And then maybe can you take us through the medium and long-term perspectives of yours or predictions of yours? We would love to hear that.
So I like the analogy that you gave when somebody said, I don't want to use AI. I would not agree because I think it's just another tool. It has been there for a long, long time. And suddenly, November 2022, ChatGPT made it, oh my God, what is happening? Everybody wants to know. And I call it a dishwasher syndrome. You remember, West has been using dishwashers forever. Come COVID, we said, oh my God, there is no maid help available in India. Let's start using that. And many are still sticking to it. They don't use the maid anymore. But they are still cleaning the greasy because the use case was not there earlier. Dishwashers are made specially for us, wherein they clean that. So think about it from that day-to-day use case. Do not overcomplicate. You don't have to use a tool where it is not supposed to be used. First of all, we thought automation absolutely required. It is required for us to be more efficient. So immediate need is let's understand what are repetitive tasks, what needs to be done, and what can be done much, much faster. Computation has gone really, really high. So why can't we use this opportunity to automate that? Then comes your efficiencies. You are saying, short term, long term, all those needs. But I would just define it like that. What can be automated, automate. What can be done faster, use Gen AI for that. If you have the data, if you have the accuracy that you can achieve, use it, but don't use it because everybody else is. And I heard one of the speakers talk about how CIOs are saying, wanting this as a business need for that. Because everybody wants an AI arm. So use cases have to be defined and regulated in such a way that they are very, very important. So I would say automation is the first key. Then optimization, efficiencies need to be built. That is the second level that I would come to. And wherever we have enough data, enough accuracy, we can use it as predictive model. So same things apply with our QE as well. We can have test assist. ServiceNow has something called test assist, wherein you can actually generate. And we have seen so many demos where you just put a text and you can get things done, right? That is what we are in a phase today. But most of them, I would hate to say it, are POCs. Most of them will die a natural death because there is no business, probably a need after 6 months. We talk about hallucination today. I'm 100% sure we will be sitting, the same panel will sit 6 months hence, and we will not talk about hallucination because that problem will be solved. Somebody around is looking for a new test case to solve that problem because there is an existing problem here. So let's talk about it from automation, building efficiencies, and getting prediction. So we talk about testing because we know that there are few things that can be predicted. We can use it as a preventive measure. So my answer, long answer to that short question is, think like a regular software development or agile cycle. Do not overuse the tools, but use the tools where they are required. Absolutely, GenAI is changing the world. It is a trend, but you stick to it and you will gain benefits out of it. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Anita, for that nuanced perspective. Of course, it is not easy or even possible to predict how the world will look like 5 years from now. The rate at which things are changing. Sam Altman, he's saying AGI will be here next year. Crazy. It was thought to be there by 2050. He's bringing that time back by 25 years. So we don't know. It's a difficult question. We could never give an answer which is accurate at this point in time. This is only our best guess. Parth, I would like to come over to you with the same question, but with a little bit of color. You lead the sales of a company which is a global leader when it comes to automating test. So in quality engineering, you have already released a lot of co-pilots, Tosca, Testim, and just recently Qtest, I think a week or so ago. But you have not stopped there. You have Vision AI, you have self-healing AI, you have Risk AI, Help Assistant, and a lot of that. I would love to understand your views on where you think you as a company are in terms of solving the quality engineering problems that we have today with AI, and what, in your perspective, the future looks like, again, in the context of the tools that you are creating for the industry.
So my perspective is always that humans are not good at multitasking. So if you look at autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars, the thing was that people used to talk and drive when there were accidents. So AI came in to be an enabler to what a person does. It will remain as it is for at least a foreseeable future. And that's where the philosophy and ideology of Tricentis is that AI should help you enable the tasks which you are doing, which basically means that AI will help you bring out your core competencies. As a QA tester, your core competency is to bring out a bug in a code, make sure that your code is compliant, it is ready for the business requirements which you have, and that the developers and the organization is delivering an optimum quality of code. In this entire thing, if you see Tricentis, we have Risk AI, which gives you a perspective on what you should test, rather than spreading yourself too thin. Then we have Vision AI, which can help you shift left your testing. But that in no way means that we are eliminating a tester from that equation. Even if we go beyond whatever we are doing for the next roadmap, generative AI will bring in use cases which will have autonomous test case generation. But anybody in this room who can tell me that I'll give you 100 test cases through ChatGPT and OpenAI, will you be okay to pass it on as a QA and say that I am good to run these test cases without any additional level of tests? The answer would be no. So the use cases for AI will always remain as a parallel, as an assistant, and that's what Tricentis has been doing with all these co-pilots. You give me a line of code, I'll tell you how to test it. You bring in your expertise to test it and tell your organization that it is up to the mark. So that is what Tricentis has been working on.
Okay, thank you for that perspective, Parth. It really helps coming from a company like Tricentis. Now I'll go to the most voted question of the evening, which we got from a lot of people, and I think Madhu reserved, or somebody reserved that question from somebody and said, hey, we'll take it up in the panel discussion. So here it comes. Will AI replace human testers? Before you answer that, I will add a little bit of color. So, according to an IDC Futurescape report, by 2028, Gen AI-based tools will be capable of writing 70% of software tests. Just a data point. Another data point, there is a Forbes Advisor survey, according to which over 75% of people are concerned about AI causing job loss within the next 12 months. Do you see a future where we are talking about automated? Do you see a future where we are moving into a fully autonomous state? Or do you think, as maybe discussed a while ago, the human will always be in the loop for oversight and governance? What is your take?
Okay, I think Deepika,
Yes.
I still remember her name, she asked, maybe again in a different way, but this is a very important question. It is very kind of important for most of us here. So, will AI replace quality engineering professionals? No. I think what will matter most is that quality engineering professionalism methods will continue to evolve. One way I am looking at it, like let's say, even before QE is leveraging generative AI and other AI, dev people are leveraging it across Microsoft, other product companies, and a lot of them are reporting a lot of productivity gains. So what does it mean to us? So whatever code, new functionalities, new features, these enterprise IT organizations, product companies, that they would have built in next 5 years using these productivity gains, they are doing in, let's say, 1 year. Humans will not stop. Anyway, I did it faster because of this technology, so I will stop innovating. That is not going to happen. Meaning, 5 years roadmaps will be realized in 1 year. So what does it mean to QE? QE will have to test all that. More code, more features, more functionalities, more features for the end users, because QE is an end user advocate. So all those challenges will be there. So yes, to cope up with the new demand of dev, we need all the QE people. Maybe all these QE people also will have to leverage generative AI to cope up with the pace at which we have to work. That is one aspect. The second aspect is, like Divya has mentioned, the QE for those insurance, that generative AI enabled insurance software. So that throws a total different challenge to the QE community. This software, LLM based software, is a totally different beast. It's not a rule-based workflow management software. It is a very stochastic system with a lot of undeterministic nature of whatever happens. So we have to invent new test types. For each of those test types, different test techniques, and to really apply those test techniques, maybe different type of utilities and algorithms. So QE community will have to research, and I think the work for QE community will significantly raise. And it will raise because of the rapidness with which innovation is taking place, and also because of LLM based software development also. So no one needs to be worried, but don't have those egos that I will not use generative AI, then it's a problem. So that's my take, Anurup. I think I answered also Deepika.
All right, Madhu, thank you for your perspective there. I would like you to answer a follow-up question, if you will. Although you are of the opinion that AI is not going to replace human testers, but I think you would agree that we are entering into a new way of working, as maybe hinted at in another keynote session. So how do you think the careers, the job roles will change? Are there any job roles that you think will shrink? Are there any job roles that you think will grow in demand? What's your take on that aspect? So if I'm a QE professional in, mid-senior level QE professional in a specific job role, how will the impact of AI or generative AI will be on my specific role? Would you like to say a few words on that? Yeah, Madhu, it's for you, but...
It's for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I want Anuradha.
Okay, sure. Anuradha, please.
I don't know the answer.
Oh, by the way, for those of you who do not know, I know Madhu very closely, so I see him, learning on a daily basis, and I can say it for a fact, and I'm not exaggerating. Madhu learns faster than AI.
Because IBM will have better perspective.
Yeah, Anuradha.
So I believe that every role, not just testing, right? has to learn AI, right? It's not just about testing. I don't think testing or testers are great that their role will not be, changing as a new way of working. All of us have to evolve. I've also evolved my way of working, my leadership style, my the way I maybe engage with my clients, whatever, right? So we have to evolve with the trends, with the technology, with the industry, with the way it's going. Now it's all about hybrid cloud and AI, right? So now as testers, there's so much to learn out there. I personally feel there's so much to learn, I don't have time, right? So I take a target of every quarter I should try to get at least one badge. We talk about badges in IBM. So anything, any certification. So I think continuous evaluation of ourselves as an individual, as a role, is what will help us in this world, right? It's not about developer, tester, architect, whatever you are, right? It's important that we have to evolve because AI is everywhere. Basically, developer, imagine, the code is it's getting automated. The code development, writing a program itself is getting automated. Imagine a designer, they are getting recommendations saying, oh, in this particular architecture, this is how it is. So basically, every phase of the cycle, there is AI, right? It's not just testing. And everybody is evolving. Everybody is trying to see, how do I apply, how do I learn? But then the beauty of it is that everybody is at the same level. The understanding of AI for all the roles, they're all at the same level and everybody is learning from zero, right? From level 1 to, so somebody is learning faster, somebody is learning, maybe not learning. I think that's the difference here, that's all. So my recommendation is, the role exists. Now it's for you to basically take it and really prove yourself, right? That's what I would say.
Thank you, Anuradha. That's an interesting perspective. Again, because it's the most voted question of from the audience, so I would like to spend maybe a minute or two more on this and throw a corollary to the panel. We are seeing, let's say for example, take the example of Zomato or Uber. Now, in some such cases, the boss is an app. At least for low level or mid skill level, entry level jobs. Now we are seeing a trend towards not a human being, but an app being the boss, which decides, which evaluates performance instantly and does the job of a human manager. Again, I'm not trying to scare people over here, but what's your perspective on some of that happening in the realm of QE? Do you think maybe jobs which are at an entry level or maybe entry to mid-level, there is more scope of AI eating into the roles, and jobs which demand more human creativity, more human skills like empathy and collaboration, they would grow more in demand? I would throw it open to the panel, anybody who wants to take it.
Sure. So, very good evening all. Look, take the case of Zomato itself, or Blinkit, or Instamart itself, right? So, it has taken away the opportunity of your street shops, right? You're wanting delivery in 10 minutes, under 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Zepto is doing that. We tend to make use of the app and get the services, ignoring this, our long-time, old-time shopkeeper. But look at the other side also. Look at the amount of jobs it has created for the delivery boys, right? The delivery personnel. Look at the amount of jobs it has created for the app developers, the testing community, right? Look at the data engineer. Data engineering is a space which is hot, because these apps are generating data at a scale which is unimaginable. So if I were to be afraid that by going the digital way, right, I am not going to be able to sustain my community here, which is one shop in one street, maybe I have enabled that person to seek out for opportunities which is at a more intellectual level. right? From managing a small shop, maybe I have enabled him to think of becoming a technologist, becoming a data engineer. So I would strongly encourage all of us to be absolutely not be scared in this aspect. Think of this as being an enabler. And time and again, I've been watching, I've been listening to the other panelists. Everyone has been reinforcing the same, right? Tricentis has been adopting AI to make your life and our life easier. It is not taking away anything. It is just enabling you. So how do you adopt these applications? How do you make life easier for you? How do you upskill yourself? Is what should be the focus, and not have this paranoia around, does it reduce the jobs? Who is going to be affected? I heard one more speaker earlier this evening who was also really emphasizing and underlining the same fact. Reinvent yourself, right? In this digital age, it is not hard at all. 3 decades ago, access to information was scarce. You had to go to libraries, you had to look out for hard copies of books, get mentored personally. Now information is at your fingertips. Think of it in that way, right? My only suggestion would be shed your fears and adopt, reinvent, and evolve very quickly, because what used to take a long time to evolve is getting accelerated. That is the only thing I think you need to bear in mind. Beyond that, I do not think there is anything to be worried about.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a great response to the question. Anita, would you like to take that? And maybe if you have any specific advice for QE professionals who are in the mid to senior level of the careers, how do they navigate this change? Do you have anything specific for them?
I would say that we are in a very, very exciting period of time. When we were, 2.5 decades ago, the first question they would ask is, like, I am a hardcore developer. I have done all my life till about 2015 when I took an automation manager role, and my eyes opened to the QE world, and that is where the transformation I did. So I was able to appreciate a lot more. So when I started my career, the first question they would ask is, what language can you code in? Okay, what is your proficiency? You are sitting in a place where world is at your fingertips. And I was talking to somebody while I was listening to all this, was today it is not about a particular skill. The tools are telling you what are your strengths. And everything is available online. You can upskill in no time. I agree, you have the power to choose what you want to do. So it's a very big playground out there with all the facilities that you can use. It's like getting into a clubhouse with all the facilities. It is up to you to make that choice. And when you talk about mid to senior, I was kind of prepping for one of the presentations, and I will talk about IDC. You spoke about IDC, and I was like, aha, this is interesting. So the global AI spending is projected to reach $632 billion, by 2028. And that is IDC report. And ServiceNow did a study wherein they said in India, I'm talking about India, 2.73 million jobs will be created, out of which 45,300 will be a QE job. Do you really think that your job is at stake if you are ready to upskill yourself, you are ready to think about your future? And I totally agree. I think it was Divya who was telling, it is in your hands. Your career is in your hands. And I underline that. No tool, no technology can put you on a leadership role by itself. You have to do that hard work. And we are in a space where, think about it, and I'll give you a small example. We have a WPS operations manager who actually built a product which has gone in an app store using low code, no code. and that is in the App Store, customers are talking about it. Do you think that power was available 15 years ago for somebody who was non-technical, who had not written one line of code? Do you think that is, that is the power I'm talking about? So do not take it as a threat. Use it to your advantage. And I love the analogy that you said, sir, you gave. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Be collaborator, work with it. And that is where mid to senior. And the best part is everybody is learning. You think the owners of a multi-billion company know where they are heading with GenAI? The answer is plain simple no. But what they are not afraid of is taking that risk of studying, learning, upskilling and failing. They are not saying fail fast, they are saying fail forward. Learn from it and move ahead, and that is what is for each one of us. And if you think that somebody is an expert sitting here and giving gyan, that's not happening. Each minute, like I said, I did my research because the numbers are important. And these numbers that I'm talking about are November 24. They are not past. They are true right now. So only one advice. Keep trying. It's okay to fail, but fail forward. Learn a bit ahead of that. That's all I would say.
Have a round of claps to that. That's a very positive and inspirational message that Anita is leaving us with. Parth, would you like to come in here?
I'll take 15 more seconds. So we've been talking a lot about AI, but I think we all realize that AI has costs attached to it. So 20 years back, when automation arrived, manual testers were worried that all of them become obsolete. I'm sitting in 2024, and one of the major competitors for me is manual testing. I still strive hard to replace manual testing in an organization. So it's not just about AI coming in and replacing jobs. You have to realize that AI has cost attached to it, and so do you. And whoever gives you better efficiencies in a short span of time wins that battle. So if automation and manual are still struggling, I think there is quite some scope for us.
Thanks, Parth. Ravi, would you like to come in here quickly? Just a quick question, and we'll end this particular question and we'll move on to the next broad question. Do you foresee the birth of any new roles in quality engineering because of AI and GenAI in the future?
Right. So on a lighter note, we were having some discussion last week. I was just discussing with one of my friends who returned from US. We were discussing about AI, GenAI and all. I was just asking, what is this GenAI? What do you think that, the future of GenAI? He was saying like, man, GenAI is like our wife, man. She knows everything about you. Now, it knows what to eat, what you need to eat, how you need to drive, what you need to wear and all of that stuff, right? So, this is still evolving technologies where I haven't seen the rules that were very defined, saying that this is what we need to do, using GenAI kind of stuff. So there are a lot of debate that is going on in terms of whether people lose jobs because of GenAI and human cannot be replaced and all of that, and no need to worry about, losing of jobs. I have a slightly contradictory view on it. Yes, you would lose jobs if you are not efficient enough. So world is running towards efficiency. I'll give you a small analogy. 50 years back, if you have to cover the distance you used to walk. After 10 years, you started using bicycle. After 10 years, you started using bikes. Then came the trains, then come the flights, then came the bullet trains and all of that. If you still feel that, no, I don't want to use any of this, I still want to use my bicycle because I love it. So the entire world would be running around and you would be, just standing and watching the show and you would be loser at the end of the day. So, efficiency is the way forward. There are a lot of roles that probably be coming up where what I can visualize is more of these roles at the governance, controlling, all of that stuff. But at this point of time, I cannot visualize saying that, okay, probably there might be a QE ML engineer, QE AI ML engineer, or whatever, right? So yes, it's very interesting to see how we can translate this back into how we can put in the entire framework of an enterprise. How you can put that in your project management, typical roles that we see, developer, tester, those would remain the same. I don't see there would be a major difference in terms of we would completely eliminate the testers or we'll completely eliminate the developers just because we have been using lot of automation and tools there. Okay. And one interesting thing that I observed when I was invited for this particular event, when I look at quality engineering, okay, so this is another tool which would enhance the testing capabilities or increasing the efficiency of the developers and all of that. But what really impressed me that when I looked at the portal, the product that you guys are showcasing, it all started with the use case. It didn't start with the test case, right? So I always advise my team, being in product space for quite some time, right? The collaboration is very important. The root and core is very, very important whenever we are building any particular product. So there are different perceptions that float across, right? Now we are discussing about building a particular product. Your BA team would be writing certain requirements, keeping cow as their final, output with 2 eyes, 1 nose, hair, 4 legs, 1 tail, right? So your developers take that and they build a donkey there. At the end of the day, your requirements are right, the perceptions are right, your output is zero value. So you guys addressed the root of it. How we can have more clarity and more what we say detailed about the use case that we build across. That is where it all translates back to your engineering team, your validation team, your business team, and all of that. Yeah.
Thanks, Ravi. Makes perfect sense to me, at least. All right. In the interest of time, we'll move ahead. I don't think we have a lot of minutes left, so we'll make it a bit quick. We will. I think there'll be a lot of people in the audience who would like to directly ask the panel some questions. We would have time for that. But before that, I'll just go over 2, 3, 4 quick questions, and we'll move on to the panel, the Q&A after that. Anuradha, we spoke about how AI or generative AI might affect QE professionals. Now let's come to the other spectrum of that and ask ourselves how AI and generative AI might affect companies, right? I was reading a blurb of a book called Pivot or Die. It is written by a New York best-selling author called Gay Shapiro. In this book, he talks about something called a pivot paradox. He says, and it's nothing new. He's just saying the same thing using new words. He says, if you are early to pivot, you will miss out on a lot of existing business potential, right? As a company. If you are late to pivot, you will miss the boss. So as a company, from a perspective of an organization, what advice would you have, from your vantage point of working with so many big and prestigious brands out there in the world, and taking into cognizance the state of AI that we are in? What should a company do? Should they go all in because everybody is talking about AI, or should they approach it with cautious optimism and do staged investments? Your quick thoughts.
So what I've seen is that last year there were a lot of pilots. It was all pilots, right? So they pick up a use case and then they're doing pilots. Now it's changing. This year I'm seeing it change, right? So they have understood the potential of this technology to drive innovation, to drive efficiency. And I'm seeing that while they're cautious, definitely caution has to be there. I believe that clients are looking at the ROI out of it. What is the value I'm going to get out of this? So the cautious approach, but then going ahead with it is what I'm seeing. So they will look at what are their business priorities, for instance, right? What are their organization goals for next year? What are those things which they would like to achieve? And then look at how can I apply GenAI or AI there, right? So if I want to increase my customer experience overall, right? So should I then invest in those areas where I'm maybe looking at doing bots, AI-based bots, customer agents applied, and then I'm able to respond to them faster so that they're more loyal to me, right? So that's, or if I am looking at expanding in a new market, can I look at marketing content being generated using GenAI and kind of going all out, very focused, market-based content, and then I'm going full-fledged. So those kind of I think pointed use cases, and then looking at the ROI of it, how much of investment I need to make, whether it is worth it or not, what is the value out of it, and then going all out and implementing it. So I believe it is already there and it's being done. And from a testing perspective, I think it's a fantastic opportunity because I have to test those implementations, right? I have to test how those AI-based bots are behaving, right? Are they compliant to that particular market regulatory compliance? Are they compliant to the data and privacy requirements? No? Is the data which they are using, is it right? So in that way, it's a huge opportunity, I would say. She talked about 600 plus billion, this thing, right? As a forecast, as a business. So I would say that's an opportunity for testers because you have to test. You cannot just implement for the client and then take it, right? You have to test it. So that means how do I test an algorithm? How do I test an LLM? That's very interesting. At least when I was in the testing practice, we started on that, but that's a fantastic discipline. I think all of you should look at whatever your company is implementing, how do I test it? How do I look at the risks and compliance aspects? So I think to answer your question, yes, it is already there. We have to look at how do we test these systems, how we can put our stake in the ground. All of it is agile, by the by. Right? I'm seeing agile projects coming up more and more. It's more about how can we do testing with more agility. It's about agility now, right? So no, it's not about those 1 year projects. Aram say, okay, it'll come to me, I will test. No, I'll get 3 weeks, then I will release, I will send the defects, it's not that anymore, right? So it is continuous testing, continuous releases. So we have to evolve to that, right? The way of working has changed, and I think fantastic opportunity for us to again look at how do we really put our stake in the game, right? Is what I would say.
Amazing advice there, Anuradha. I would like to also hear from Madhu very briefly before you say that, Madhu. Just a quick point. Now, I think everybody who is on the panel here, they are shining examples of representatives of companies who are taking advantage of AI in the right way. You look at every one of them: Parth, Jeyachitra, Anita, Madhu, Anuradha, and Ravi. They represent companies who are AI first, if I may use that word. And you will see that AI is out there for everybody to take advantage of, but not everyone is taking advantage of AI equally. And it is the early adopters, it is the pace setters who are pulling ahead and creating a space for them out there in the future. So with that as context, Madhu, what your advice would be for companies in the dimensions of people, process, and technology to align with the growth and the vision that we have ahead of us? Very quickly.
Okay. So I'll take only IT services company point of view because I understand that little better. So one thing is going to happen. All these guys sitting here, Parth and Lambda Test Sigma, they will go and talk to the CIOs, all these wonderful stories about their tools. Then suddenly expectations will rise. Then they come and talk to IT services companies. Then they will start questioning, why 5 people, why so much time, what coverage did you achieve, why don't you achieve this much coverage? All these questions will come to us. So when those questions come to IT services companies, we need to have some solutions to kind of take them to the market. So the solution engineering teams, the go-to-market teams will have to reinvent the way they will take IT services piece to the CIOs. Very, very important. But then as Anu also told, the new thing, because of this, this whole new type of software, I think those companies who can figure out good solutions, good test approaches, and they master some of these new test types, how to do bias testing, how to do fairness testing, how to, those kind of all the new angles. I think quickly companies, IT services companies, I think biggies are already doing. Companies of our size will have to really quickly understand, build some think tank groups, study, innovate, invent some methods and go to market. Otherwise, we lag. I think the pivot you told, I think this is the time. If you lag, there is a problem for companies, at least smaller IT services companies. Yeah.
I'm left with only 2 questions. Be happy. It's going to end. But I think you're getting value out of this session, right? You know, the responses that you're getting from, experienced panelists like this. It's a stellar, panel. I'm privileged to host a panel like this myself. Quick question to Anuradha. I think Divya, in her, I think there was a related question, and Divya briefly touched upon this. And I would just, quote a statistic from KPMG Trust in AI study. According to that, 3 out of 5 people, that is whooping 61%, they are either ambivalent or unwilling to trust AI. So AI has a trust problem. And there is a beautiful HBR, Harvard Business Review article, if you are interested, you can read, which beautifully summarizes the 12 leading concerns with AI. With that as context, Anuradha, how important do you think is responsible AI? I know you are a champion of responsible AI, and so does your company, IBM. So can you please help us understand what is responsible AI, and maybe a little bit of color in the context of QE?
Yeah, so I think, yes, AI, I guess all of you understand that AI has its own risks, right? I mean, there are so many aspects of it. The data, which, first of all, the data which is used, because AI uses a lot of data, right? And we don't know where the data is coming from. If you look at ChatGPT, you ask a question, you get a good response, but you don't know whether it is using some data which it should not be using, right? Maybe it is using some data of mine which I don't want, but then it is using, right? So I think that's a risk of it, right? The privacy aspects, the ethics aspect of it, the transparency, the way it is interpreted, right? I mean, the same thing, hallucination, somebody said, all those are risks which are out there. I was just over the last weekend, so I had gone for a marathon run, and then they share photos, right? So, okay, I opened a link. I thought I need to get my bib number. But then it asked me to just take a selfie. Yeah. I mean, that portal itself. So now I've exposed my face. I'm using my face to open my phone. I'm using my phone, my face to open a lot of applications out there. Now that face is there for them to be using, right? That's what I would say is the power of AI and the risk of it, the high risk of it. And definitely, as I said before, as quality engineers, we have to be looking at these aspects, right? When I am releasing a particular software to the client, which is AI implemented, is it transparent? Do we know the data being used, in the application? Do we know, is it addressing the privacy aspects of it? Whatever is being used, is it using the right kind of data again? Is it following the compliance aspects? If you go to, Europe GDPR, right? I cannot be exposing their European data to outside of Europe, all that, right? So definitely there's so much of risk out there. Even then we're using it, right? We see convenience in it. I went ahead and took the photo by the by, right? So, because I didn't know my bib number. So that's the convenience part of it. But at the same time, it's so much of a risk out there, and I think so much of opportunity for, again, I would say testers to be involved in this, become an AI tester, really, and take this opportunity and look at all of these aspects and really look at how do I kind of find certain strategies and approaches, as Madhu sir said, and really identify ways to test, right? And make it really foolproof. It's important to see it's fair, it's transparent, it is reliable, right? Whatever data is being used in your applications. There's a huge risk associated with it, is what I would say.
Loved it. I just have one question left, and then we'll throw the discussion open for you to ask any question to the panel directly. Anuradha used a very important word. It's $1 million word, without which AI is powerless. What is that word? Data. Without data, AI is powerless. And there is no better than Jeyachitra on the panel who is sitting here with us to tell us more about that. Because our company is creating a groundbreaking product called Qualdo, which is data quality for cloud, data warehouse, and ML systems, ecosystems. Before I throw the question to Jeyachitra, I would just quote a statistic from this year's World Quality Report. It's in the 16th edition, and there are 1,700 executives and QE executives from around the world who actually come together to create that report. According to that, aside from AI, 64% of organizations now are rating data quality as critically important or of very high priority for them. So that's a big percentage of companies out there. So Jeyachitra, can you please help us understand briefly, in the interest of time, how important data quality is when using AI in quality engineering, and what do you perceive as some of the future data quality challenges, and maybe how you as a company are trying to solve it?
Okay. So, look, AI, as every one of us agrees, is completely based on data. If you see, the statistics and the data show that this year, on a per day basis, about 0.4 zettabytes of data is getting generated, which means this year it's around 147 zettabytes of data. Next year, the prediction is that, the estimate is that it's going to be 181 zettabytes of data. Roughly take away the video and the gaming data, which is around 60%, if I may say, then you have somewhere around 50 to 70 zettabytes of data. Now, this is what is going to be driving what you see, what you do, and perhaps what you think also, right? So, earlier data used to be fueling the decisions, the strategic decisions and the initiatives of enterprises, right, at the strategic level. But now, thanks to AI, data is the forefront of the operations of the enterprises, be it on the tasks, the teams, the projects, it is everywhere. It is going to be everywhere because the adoption is increasing and we are trying to become more AI savvy. In this aspect, imagine that this data which you are using, on top of which your AI is built, is bad. It's incomplete. I saw in one of the presentations where the speakers were talking, there was emphasis on the quality of data also, right? They were talking about completeness. There are multiple parameters to how you evaluate data and how you call it as a healthy data or a data of poor quality. Poor quality is a strict no when it comes to AI, because then it introduces issues like, again, this has been often repeated today in this event, model bias, right? You don't have proper data security, you have model poisoning, right? And you have model inversions happening. So this is at the LLM levels, SLM, be it LLM, SLM, it doesn't really matter. So without quality data, we are not going anywhere, because all the decisions will be poorly made, right? Your apps are not going to be performant. The AI is not being performant. And for me personally, if your quality engineering is also going to be AI driven, then you need to have that trust in the AI to be able to make real good use of it, to have the optimum outcome, to have it really efficient, to be able to scale at levels that you want, at a real great speed also, right? These are what you look for when you're adopting AI: speed, efficiency, effectiveness, and scaling, right? If I didn't mention it already. So in that sense, the foundation of AI, on top of which your QE or any other service is going to be built, for that matter, is good quality data. Right? So the challenges that I see is, how do you manage this data to ensure that you have really good quality? The solution to this would be and should be adoption of tools and technology to ensure that this huge influx of data is being continuously monitored, right? See, data is not at rest always. In the data engineering space, you always see data moving across multiple layers from the source to being enriched, curated, and so on and so forth, in which case you really need to have an end-to-end observability on the entire data journey also. And this is going to ensure that you have a continuous delivery of reliable data, on top of which both the strategic decision-making AI or be it the operational AI works, right? So on that note, maybe I'll stop.
Thank you so much, Jeyachitra. It was very helpful. With that, we will end the moderated portion of the panel discussion and we'll throw it open to the audience. We'll spend maybe 10 to 15 minutes of time, depending on how many questions you have. We'll also have a few volunteers by your sides. We'll just take your names, whoever is asking the question. We'll surprise you with a gift at the end of the show.
I thought that was a surprise.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So,
all right, yes. Now
just
the
one
number
quick,
of hands will go up in the air for sure. I know it. All right, I saw one hand coming up from here. This gentleman, yes.
We would like to tell your name, the company you are from,
Yep.
your question briefly, and if it is pointed to any specific panelist, that also please.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Manohar. I'm from Clean Harbors. So I'm working as a research engineer for automation department. So I can say thanks for the organizing this event first of all. Thank you. I gained most of the insights over here. And I got this is the best opportunity to enhance ourselves. And I got to know so many of AI things. And one thing is I'm already using that in my automation because I'm in a research over there for my organization. So I have a few questions we are talking about more about AI. So as said, Anuradha ma'am already mentioned there are some risks associated with it. So I just want to have because I am already using Copilot. So when I'm writing any ghost code kind of thing, so I'm writing Selenium, same the things, feature files, they are writing the ghost code is taking my access and writing their locators by itself. So I'm just tabbing it and it was taking all the locators from the application. So I just want to ask
Can we get to the question please in the interest of time?
Yeah.
No, thanks for the context, yes.
Yeah. So this is the context. I just want to ask what are the things we need to consider before going into AI and before implementing the same AI into our things. So I just want to give the components involved in it and what we should have to take care of those things. Thank you.
Anuradha, would you like to take it?
So I think it depends again, what is your application, right? Is it a client application? Is it a open application? So definitely it's a client application, it has to be closed, right? It has to have an environment, first of all, which is not exposed. I mean, I don't want to use the data across the globe. I want to be using only the data of my client. So naturally, you first need to be looking at what is the, for the Copilot, you have to be having certain environment for it, certain data. What's the data which the client has, which you have to be using. And as we've been saying, the use case becomes very important, right? So what are we trying to achieve, first of all, with that, whatever you are trying to achieve for applying AI, right? So what are the inefficiencies today there, which you're trying to address through AI, right? So identifying that, and then identifying that use case. How do I implement that use case? What is the data I need for that? What is the environment I need for that? What's the ROI I'm going to get if I implement it? So it has to be an ROI analysis, and based on that, you need to be taking. Definitely AI, as our panel said, it involves cost and resources, right? You will definitely need to have the right environment and the right skills to have the right design and architecture for that. So you have to start, like a development project, right? You start with the whole design, architecture, and then implementation. That's how it should go. It cannot be just randomly implementing. It has to follow the whole approach.
Can we have the next question, please?
Thank you. And let's keep it short, please. Thank you.
Will be very short. This question my name is Pramod from Aviva. This question to Mr. Madhu sir. What keeps you awake at night to being in this entrepreneur journey of testing business?
keeps us busy are sleepless night. So, awake, okay, in sleepless only, that is equal. Okay. So, definitely now, this application of generative AI and also rising expectations of our clients. How do we cope up with that? How do we equip our engineers to kind of deal with that rising expectations has been a little bit of concern of late. Otherwise, as a services company, are we understanding expectations of our clients? Are some unstated expectations also we are able to understand? Otherwise, we lose clients, lose revenue. So these are the things I think that's...
Plus he's going to be available during the drinks as well. So yeah, your question can be answered. The gentleman here.
My name is Jagan Mohan. I am from Gagri Global IT Services Private Limited, a software development company. My question is two questions. I mean, straightforward thing. Like, will the QA, the QE, will be there for the next coming years? First question. Second question is, So second question is, like, I missed the second question. So the point, context of the point is, the way the QE team is thinking with respect to automating their jobs. Now if the developer thinks very proactively about the same session, then what will happen to your jobs for the QE team and with respect to the companies who are developing the applications? Yeah, anyone can answer this.
Thank you.
Briefly tell, see, the real world is very messy. Okay. So, as long as the real world messiness is there, there is a need for human quality engineering professionals. And it will not go. So, as soon as some utopian world arrives, then maybe what you are saying will happen, but that is not going to happen. That's my response to that.
If I may add, human brain is very curious, right? And we look at things very differently. The same the view that you are seeing from the front and the side is very different. So like you said, the developer is doing the testing, keeping few things in their head. The QE will have a different perspective, so that perspective will never go away. Okay, because you are a different individual, your view is different, your thought process is different. So that point will be there. Be curious and learn what I can bring value. And this is a question that we need to ask ourselves every time. I think doing a job is a passé. Nobody needs a person who is going from A to B. Now the trend is what I can do a value add. So as a QE, be curious about what I can add value with all the tools and technologies that are in place. I think that will take us a notch ahead of where we are today.
Hello everyone, my name is Chandrasekhar. I'm a QE from Optum Global Solution, which is also UHC. My question is like, with all the discussion, with all the insight you provided, you thrown us, we got to know that QE is no more just a human resource alone, but QE human resource plus some AI appropriate tool. So we got to know that now. So how to one choose the appropriate or the right tool for his implementation in his team for his project? So what things needs to be considered before choosing a right tool, whereas multiple tools, multiple AI models available around us?
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I would say choose Tricentis. That's the best.
I think that's a brilliant answer. We move to the next question. Let's move to the next question. I'm really sorry, but I'll have to intervene here. Gentlemen, you have a question?
Hi, I'm Wales from AtMax. Wales. Hello. Okay. From AtMax. Okay. A fundamental question. As a QE.
Could you please stand up? We would love to see you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Wales from AtMax. I have a fundamental question. As a QE, how do I test AI applications? Because that's a different skill altogether.
How do we test AI applications?
Yeah, because I see all the sponsors are having the AI products, and definitely they would have gone through that. I just wanted to hear from them. How do I test an AI application?
Yeah, so I can help answer that briefly here. So AI testing or AI application testing involves a lot of data testing. So it is more about putting in a prompt, getting an output out of it and evaluating whether that output is equivalent to what you are expecting the model to behave on. So for example, Tricentis has a tool called data integrity testing. We can use it for data migrations or any kind of inputs and outputs, which will give you millions of lines of comparisons and testing in a couple of minutes. So my perspective to AI tool testing is start testing on the data that you are training your models on and see whether the inputs and outputs are equivalent to your expectations. Then I can hand it over to the panel if you have any other ways of doing that.
Okay, I'll just take a quick stab at that, though QE is not my forte. Okay, so thank you for making data the hero here. That is essential, yes, but when it comes to the application testing, right? So the traditional way of testing has always been you give an input, you get an output. There have been set inputs and set expectations. Now with AI, the challenge that I see, as a user, it is not going to be repeatable. Every time you give a question, the same prompt, you get a different answer. How do you validate that, right? I'm talking about GenAI, the predictive AI, right? Not the SLMs. That is not what I'm talking about. So in that sense, that is where your creativity kicks in. You can still use all these AI-assisted, augmented tools to generate code for you. But how do you make that code, that piece of script, intelligent enough to test another AI-based app? That is where you shine, right? That is where your creativity kicks in, really. And I would strongly urge and encourage all of you to think of it in those lines, not just adoption,
Can we have a few questions from the other side, please?
Yeah, I'll move to the next here. Here?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Apologies for just taking the chance. I've been waiting for a while. Thanks a lot, first of all, for organizing such a fantastic event. Loved it. Hyderabad needs it a lot more, right? So thanks a lot for making it happen. My question is slightly different on a tangent, right? I mean, we all talked about what AI is, what impact it is making, and how we are going to, see the world change. A little bit, maybe not so much. My question to the entire panel is that as the country, maybe as a group of companies or even as an individuals, are we underestimating the impact of AI in some sense, right? I mean, the AI, probably in our mind, we equate it to a little bit of automation, little bit of reasoning, little bit of text complete, but the sum of it, technologies, it's a lot more than that, right? So as an industry or as a group or as individuals, right, as a companies, are we not being very short-sighted and myopic in our view towards AI and the kind of impact it's going to bring in next couple of years? And we are massively underprepared and underutilizing the opportunities in front of us. Thank you.
So I'll take a stab at that. It's a very interesting perspective, I would say, right? So it is something that is unseen, unheard, unexperienced, right? We are all in a journey, and AI has been around for a long, long time. Till the time a normal person sitting on the laptop could write and put a prompt and get an answer, and a very powerful tool was given. And you are absolutely right, we are underestimating, because that power was not with any average Joe, right? That is there. And to your point, it is creating a lot of havoc, right? We don't know, another 6 months down the line, we will say, don't use GenAI because it is extremely, it is worse than a natural calamity because we are generating so much of a carbon footprint. We don't know yet. But what I would definitely recommend is, that is purely my perception, when somebody gives you a tool, we would at least want to try it out and see what is best used for our benefit without causing too much of a damage. And we should all be whistleblowers here. we should be responsible about the usage of it. So every time you put a prompt, you understand the kind of computing it is happening at the background. Don't use it for, like for example, how many restaurants are around me. Don't use it like that. Be responsible, and I think that comes to us. It is very, very powerful. Use it for powerful things. That is my recommendation, and I totally agree. We are underestimating the power. Unless we experience something which is bigger, we won't even see it as average Joes.
Thanks so much. We've got one quick question coming from here.
Thank you very much for all the QE entire team. I wish them all the best. And also my question to Madhu sir. We have been the beginning without the age of an AI. The earth contains the three parts, earth core and crust and mantle. But in the one that comes from years together till in the age of the AI and the robotics and all these on the latest technology we are moving around. But what is the quality that you speak about? The core which I have in the core. The quality in terms of AI. But do we have the crust and mantle? Where it is the crust and mantle in terms of the artificial intelligence? Thank you very much.
The question is addressed to you, Madhu, and it's a very philosophical question. If you would like to take it now, or maybe during the networking dinner.
If you have understood, please paraphrase.
He gave an analogy of the earth. There is a core, there is a mantle, there is a crust.
I think next year in QE Conclave 25, we will have a panel discussion and we can discuss this at length.
Afterwards, I'll try.
Or maybe during the networking session, with all due regard, sir.
Thank you so much. There's one word probably that none of us heard today, or probably I missed out, about red teaming. So would anybody want to explain why it's not used so frequently or proactively when it comes to using AI and QE? Red teaming.
Red teaming. Why is
Thank
it?
you.
Would you like to take it now, or again? I mean, we have 1.5 hours of networking dinner and drinks. You have every opportunity to ask the panel questions. If we can have some, rapid fire questions, that would be great.
Sure.
Just to wrap it up.
I have a question here.
This
is Rajanama from Seneca Global.
Yep.
I'm just taking an example of a software product development. In 2023, let us say we need 20 QE associates for both manual and automation testing. In 2024, clients are asking reduce the 20 to 10. With all the products that you are all building, in 2025, if clients are going to ask you only 2 QA associates are sufficient for me, what happens to the remaining 18 associates, irrespective of whatever that they learn?
So that might not happen. According to my logic, what will happen is that developers will use the GenAI tools. Whatever they are going to build for next 5 years, they will build in 6 years. I say 6 months.
True.
So there is a lot of features, functionalities, whatever going to customer will have to be tested. So who will test? With a human angle into that testing only.
Even for that testing, the products that you're building.
No, but still, too much software needs to be tested.
Okay.
Because of GenAI, too much of code will be, humans will produce actually in the next few months to
Thank
1
you.
year.
Hello everyone. There is an interesting report by Everest Group.
Question on the top of that. If already we are getting screwed up with the agile, which is going up in the industry, everyone is following agile, and we are going at a very rapid pace. Now, if GenAI is going to have effect, like every company is going to adopt GenAI, then after that one, if the leadership is pushing for us on what is the ROI we are bringing, then how will be our work-life balance and how the industry or associates are going to cope it up with?
Actually, you will have a lot of work-life balance. Because everything machines will do, we have to figure out new kind of recreation actually. I think, again, very important question, but right now we'll have to let it evolve and understand, that's it.
We'll take one more question maybe. Then end it.
I mean, I'm sure the entire hall is like really enthusiastic, but we are also running quite behind the schedule, and I'm honestly speaking, I'm hungry. And I'm also thirsty. What we could definitely do is that, we will keep this as one plus one, this gentleman has been there for a very long time. We will still take down your names and your questions, right? And hopefully we will be reaching out to you. You could also let us know whom you want to direct your questions, right? Because honestly speaking, we are quite late. Anurup, is that okay?
Yes, we'll take two questions and I'll end it with one question everybody in the audience wants to ask the panelists, but they have not asked yet.
So 2 plus 1.
2 plus 1.
2 plus 1. All right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Question number 1.
My name is Puneet. I am from LTC. My question to the panel is, we have spoken a lot about how we are leveraging GenAI in our QA work. So every situation has a good and bad part of it. We have spoken a lot of good things about that. Should there be any use case or a scenario where AI should not be chosen for any assistive work? Because the panel would have got very good experience exploring a lot of AI tools, platforms. Based upon your experience, was there any use case or a scenario where you felt that, okay, the choice of choosing AI for help or any assistance was a wrong thing which I did? I just wanted to know about this.
So, very quick answer. There are a lot of frameworks to kind of choose right use cases. In a very simplistic manner, if you look at a framework, there is a problem with using AI. It can generate a lot of text and outputs, but there is a risk of inaccuracies. Okay? So, there are set of use cases where the risk of inaccuracy is very high. And also there is another axis, if you look at it, there is a demand for outputs to be generated by a system. If there is a huge demand, like marketing material, with a lot of information is there, without humans, a good quality material is there. There is a huge demand for such material. And if there is a low risk associated with that, that is a very good use case. But let's say, morning we have taken test automation. So blindly doing test automation or test execution automation, let's say, or test environment setup kind of automation we want to do, then there can be a problem. There is a huge risk of inaccuracies. And actually there is a less need for even generating from a system. So those will fall a little bit lower on the use case. So there are frameworks to properly choose a right use case. Maybe over dinner we can talk.
So can I add some humor to this?
Yeah, please do that.
Please, let's do that.
Performance appraisal by your manager. Sorry, but then cannot be, you cannot use GenAI for that, right? You need a human for it, right? So wherever there's an emotional aspect there, right? Wherever there is a collaboration requirement, wherever there is a new ideation, there's a new innovation being built, I don't think it's a use case for GenAI, right? So the human element still remains. Wherever there is more of human intense activity and that use case requires that, I don't think you can, it's a good use case for you, right? So I just put it as an example.
All right.
Yeah, similar cases.
Yep, perfect. Second last question coming up from here.
Hello everyone. It was an insightful Yes. Hello everyone. This is Balakrishna again from Career. It was an insightful panel discussion. A lot of emphasis went into data, and without data, AI is powerless, right? So this is one quote I think everyone will take it. Especially on data quality, if let's get into practicality. I mean, companies are companies are building data lakes, but they're not supplying that data to AI. I mean, they are churning that data and coming up with analytical data, sorted, filtered data, and then they are giving it to AI. That too, they are not experimenting with the real data. They're only coming up with POCs. So my question is to Jeyachitra, like you mentioned on the data quality, right? So how can companies trust the data, I mean AI tools, and then provide that raw, unfiltered data?
So you do use Amazon. You get recommendations. It is built on AI. It is built on the data that Amazon collects, right? Your every interaction that you have, everything is tracked. Every single click is tracked. It's a clickstream data. So these are the data which are humongous in size, okay? And if we assume that this data is not being used today, I think we might be terribly wrong. Okay, so when you get into your application, right, how do you get recommendations? Even on the same Zomato, or your Blinkit, or your Instamart, how do you think you get it? You know, I'm giving you this example just so that we use these apps very regularly. You get into Netflix, recommended movies for you based on your previous watches. How do you think that happens? They are having massive data, and they are making effective use of it. And they ensure that the first 5 recommendations they make, you click. That is the efficacy of the data, AI, right? So if you are not making a click in the top 5, then the model is not performing. They go, retrain the model because the model is decaying. It is not performant. So even those get monitored. Okay, data is gold, data is the fuel. So if we are thinking that you have the raw, the staging, the curated, I'm giving the curated to the analyst, perfect, right? But it is being fed into data science teams today as we speak, and 10 years back also that was happening. Just that the scope has expanded across multiple domains and multiple functions today. Did I answer your question? Cool.
We'll have the last question from the audience.
And that's coming up from a lady here. There we go.
Hello, my name is Shilpa Dadwal. I am the CEO of the company SQE Labs. I have come all the way from Chandigarh to attend this conclave. It was really nice. Thank you so much. So my question here is to Mr. Madhu. Sir, with this coming buzzword AI, GenAI, so what is the difference you can see in the expectations of the client from testing perspective? Is there a change or some expectations have changed, or is it just the same?
Yeah, I think right now, not much of change happened in the expectations. But soon they're going to happen.
Yeah.
Definitely, there will be questions about, okay, what is the coverage? Like a lot of times we discussed, both from a test automation coverage plus test coverage. Then productivity discussions will happen. Why 1 script per person day? Why not 4? Why not 5? Then the test design quality. Why is it like that? Why we are not having a lot of good thinking around high quality tests? These kind of discussions will happen because if we don't do it, other companies will do. That's why we have to be ready for such situation. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the absolute last question of this panel discussion. I am asking a question on behalf of the audience. I think every member in the audience wants to ask this question, but they have not asked it yet. So here it goes. And it is for the entire panel. I would like to give us a brief, maybe 1 or 2 sentence kind of an answer to this question. As we wrap up QE Conclave 2024, what is the single most important insight or advice would you like the audience to leave today with?
Okay, I'll start.
Can we start with, whoever wants to go.
With 2 words, be curious and have the right mindset for change. That's all we need for now.
Ravi, would you like to go next?
Right. So, AI and GenAI is real. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's not going to be disappeared. Look GenAI as a companion rather than a competition. Embrace it, learn it, and be part of it.
All right. Anuradha, would you like to go next?
So yeah, embrace AI, definitely, and build continuous intelligent QE practices with responsible AI is what I would say, because it's important to embrace, at the same time be responsible. At the same time, look at how do you bring in continuous intelligence in the whole cycle, testing cycle, right from the test design to the execution to reporting. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I'll repeat, embrace AI. Learn prompt engineering thoroughly, the new skill, and don't have any ego with LLMs. That's the only thing I'll do. Yeah.
Parth?
So for me, it's very simple. It has to be a cost-benefit analysis for any AI applications. And again, remember there are compliances in place. So don't put your customer or organization data where it shouldn't be. So remember these three things. I think rest of it is all discussed.
Valid.
So I would like to close off on the note. The first takeaway for me out of this panel discussion has been that this time period is too short, I guess, to discuss a topic this vast. Okay, that's the first takeaway for me. Second, the more important takeaway for me is, we see a lot of questions for which the answer seems to be on trust. I just looked up red teaming. I saw this question on, are we underestimating? For me, the answer is we are taking a very cautious and phased approach in our adoption. That would be my answer to both of that. Okay, and on a final note, I see that quality engineering being driven by AI, which is in turn being driven by data. I also see the reverse, which is AI being driven by quality engineering, right? For it to be performant and for it to be efficient, look at it in that way would be the takeaway for me from my side, basis this panel discussion. Yeah, I will end here. Thanks.
Thank you so much, panel. It was very insightful. We would like to end it with this quote, famous quote from William Arthur Ward, the American, famous writer, poet, philosopher. We talked about the gale force, strong winds of AI and generative AI blowing out there, right, when we started our discussion. This is what he says we should do. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist says or expects it to change. But the leader, they adjust the sails. So with that note, we'll conclude today's panel discussion. You have been a lovely audience, and we have an amazing panel in you, the 6 of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.